participate in genres that I don't typically listen to.
Mhm.
Like, I don't know a lot of the people in the game. So I want to know how much prep does Mark do? How do you balance it being like a fun thing versus, making sure you're still doing a broadcast? I can't wait. We're going to talk to Mark Jones at 11:20.
Yeah, because I don't know a lot of these people. Like, I have no idea who they are.
Okay. We'll make up a fun game and go through the list tomorrow.
Okay.
How does that sound?
Yeah, where it's like, are they real or not?
Yes.
Okay. That
Very
works.
good.
I'll stop
have a
looking
fun
at
game.
the list because I won't remember any of these people.
Perfect. Okay. Before we do any of that, though, the Kings made a roster move. We'll dig into the Markelle Fultz edition for sure. But the Kings also got a win last night, 119-111 over the New Orleans Pelicans. And if I wanted to nitpick,
Mhm.
I could pick several nits from last night.
Yes.
But at the same time, the thing that I've been asking for, and the thing I've been saying, is I just want to see improvement, and I want to see steps toward a sustainable brand of basketball that can win in the play-in/playoffs. And I don't really think we've seen that lately. And while it would have been great to see the Kings beat the Pelicans by 20 last night, and that's kind of what we asked for. Like, can you just go boat race a team? Can you just go beat a team by 20 or 30? Rest your starters in the fourth. Can you do that? They couldn't. But Keon Ellis was scintillating. 27 points.
Oh,
7 of 11 from 3. Mm-hmm. That deep, like, heat check 3 he took.
Oh yeah,
that was great. That's what I want to see from Keon. Just no hesitation, catch and shoot, like searching for his shot. And I think the more important thing, the Kings finished with 28 assists last night. When he got rolling, the offense was, hey, find a way to get it to Keon.
Yeah, and they rode the hot hand.
Yes.
It was like, hey, what are they doing? It's 2 nights in a row, 2 games in a row.
DeRozan at one point got into his spot in kind of that like mid-baseline area, and he started to dribble. It's like, dude, Keon is red hot right now. And sure enough, they sent the double. DeMar turns, throws it out to him. It's like, oh my God, this is great. This is awesome. Again, it wasn't perfect. But if I'm going to sit here and say, you can't just be satisfied with like, oh, just win. Like, yeah, you got to win the games, but there's also some style points you kind of need to have. Mm-hmm. And I think you started seeing some of those style points last night. I was not necessarily satisfied with Monday night's win. Monday night?
Yeah, I think. Let's see. Yeah, today's Thursday, your favorite day of the week.
Yep. Monday night's win.
It was Monday.
Yeah, I wasn't necessarily like, I wasn't dissatisfied last night the way I felt on Monday. Like after Monday's game, it's just like, ugh. Like, yeah, you got to win, but that was the OT in Dallas. Mm-hmm. It's like, oh man, you should. Okay, tonight, so last night was better though.
I think I understand why we have an issue here. It's because what they're doing right now is unsustainable. Like, right, when you see DeMar DeRozan go for 42, like there's a major sustainability issue there. He's not going to go for 42 every night and bail you out. When we see them win against New Orleans and Keon Ellis goes for 27, Keon Ellis is not going to score 27 points every night. In fact, Keon Ellis averages like 7 points per game. Mm-hmm. So like there is this weird thing that's happening where the Kings are doing things sort of that are out of the norm and out of the flow of the offense and out of the flow of anything, but they're finding success by doing that. And for me, what I think will happen here is you're going to see more of these outlier like performances until the team has practice time and starts to figure out how to play together. Sure. And then we're going to start seeing more and more of the actual offensive flow that we've seen in the past. At least that's what I would hope. But in the meantime, just find a way. I don't care what it looks like in the end. 119-111. This game was way closer than 119-111.
Yeah.
And the fact that they were able to pull away and actually get the win, that's all that matters. Because, again, there isn't an asterisk next to your standings that says, 14 ugly wins.
Right.
Like there's just not. So you go out there, and if you win, it goes in one column. You lose, it goes in the other. And I'd rather see them get more in the left-hand column than the right-hand column.
Well, and they got up 45 threes, and they got a lot of good looks on those threes. It's like, that's what you want to do. Like, that's if your offense is going to be shooting threes, which Doug Christie has said that's what they want to do. They got good looks. It's like, that's what you want. 28 assists on 41 made baskets. I will take that every single night.
Mm-hmm.
And that's and the points, like, yeah, sometimes Keon Ellis is going to go 10 of 14 from the field and 7 of 11 from 3, and he's going to score 27. That makes up for Malik Monk having 17, Keegan only having 6, Domas having 16. Sometimes you're going to have to piece it together.
Mm-hmm.
And I thought last night the way they pieced it together was just that. Man, Keon's hitting, find him. We're going to get some threes up, and we're going to try and keep this team at arm's length. Don't really have an answer for Zion, but we're going to shut the faucet off on CJ McCollum. We're going to make Trey Murphy's life tough, and we're just going to find a way to win this game. Like, that, to me, was a much better example of, hey, this game got a little grimy. Here's us figuring out a way to win, instead of, hey, we just don't have the horses to hang with the freaking Mavericks. DeMar, can you score 40 for us? Like, that last night looked like a more sustainable brand of basketball than anything we've seen over the last 7 or 8 games.
Yeah, I would agree with you. And even, the fact that Keon does hit all those threes, they were all in rhythm as part of the offense.
Exactly.
Like, they're him, like, relocating and finding holes in the defense and moving really well, and then being ready to shoot every time he shoots it.
Mm-hmm.
And, like, to me, I don't understand why teams are still leaving him open. Like, we're at a point. Yeah, it is baffling. I mean, he's one of the best 3-point shooters in the NBA. He's over 45% on the season.
45.1% on 4 attempts a night. 3.9.
Now, he needs to get those attempts up higher so he becomes more and more of a threat.
Mm-hmm.
But, like, this guy's developing into one of the better 3-and-D players in the league.
Yes.
And
right before our eyes.
Yeah, right. And the problem that we're going to keep running into is, how do you fit him into the starting lineup? How do you find a home for him in the starting lineup? I don't know that they're going to be able to do that. And that's not because I think, it's a bad coaching move or anything else. I just think it's really difficult when you have, a guy who's making $43 million at the 2 and a guy who is a first ballot Hall of Famer playing the 3, and then Malik Monk, who's your only point guard.
Mm-hmm.
And, we can discuss all we want, whether he's a true point guard or what kind of point guard he is.
Oh, we will.
He's the only point guard you have on the roster until Markelle Fultz shows up. And even then, Markelle Fultz hasn't played in a very, very long time.
Yeah. We'll talk about Markelle Fultz in a bit. But yeah, that's just it with Keon, man. Like, if he's hitting his threes and he's open, get in the basketball.
Yeah.
That's kind of what they did last night. They had 14, nope, that's not right. They had 5 players take 13 or more shots. DeMar DeRozan, 17. Malik Monk and Zach LaVine both had 14. Keon had 14, and Domas had 13.
Mm-hmm.
Keegan had 5. And then everybody in the starting lineup had 4 or more assists. 4 for Monk, 6 for DeRozan, 3 for LaVine, 7 for Murray. No, I'm sorry. 6 for DeRozan, 4 for Monk, 7 for LaVine, 5 for Murray, 5 for Domas.
Yeah.
Like,
lots of assists.
So that's the difference for me. I would have loved to see the Kings win last night by 30. But what that game was they don't have an answer for Zion. And I don't know when Zion's rolling like he was last night that many teams do. He is just a hoss. He's really hard to stop.
Yeah,
when he gets under the basket.
Yeah. He's absolutely crazy.
So I'm not gonna
gets rolling.
I'm not gonna sit here and be like, they gotta figure out a way to stop Zion. Like, nah, man, when Zion's healthy, he's really damn good. That's just, health is his issue, not skill set.
Yep.
So I'm not gonna kill them for that. What last night was to me was much less like, oh, they just kind of survived and played horribly. That was they're still figuring some things out. Mm-hmm. Some of those turnovers because guys are in the wrong spot. Those I think will get fixed. Some of the stretches of that game where the offense just kind of bogged down a little bit, that's the kind of stuff that'll get fixed with more playing time, with a little bit of practice time, with more film sessions. I was more encouraged last night than I've been at really any point since the trade deadline.
Yeah, and I'll tell you, like, when you go in the locker room, Doug Christie, really way up high on the whiteboard. I don't know how he gets up there and does it. He writes a code word or a catchphrase for the day. And the other day we were in the locker room, Sean Cunningham likes to tweet these out every day, which for me, it doesn't move the needle.
Great bit.
But Sean, he's using it as a bit, exactly. So the other day, Doug had written "kiss" on the board, and Sean looked at me. He was like, "Kiss." I'm like, "Keep it simple, stupid." That's what KISS stands for. Keep it simple, stupid. And that's basically what I think we saw in the first quarter was the Kings turned the ball over 8 times. They were reckless. They were out of control. They lost their mind, and they were going to lose by 15 or 20 because they were turning the ball over every other possession.
32 turnover pace isn't going to win you a lot of games.
No, you're not going to win many games. So the second quarter, they turned the ball over twice. The second half, they turned it over once. They finished with 11 turnovers after having 8 in the first quarter. And to me, that was a moment where the message got through. Keep it simple.
Yep.
That's it. Just keep it simple.
Yep.
And if you can do that, it's a brand of basketball that works. Find the open man. Take the shots you're supposed to take. Stop pump faking every time you're wide open for a 3. Move the ball to the right guy. Look for your teammates. Set good screens, good rotations, all of that stuff, and just keep it simple, stupid. That's it. It's real basic.
More like the Sacramento kiss.
Yeah. Keep it simple, Sacramento.
That's really good.
Yeah.
I was looking this up. Of the regular rotation players who've played 40 or more games, because there's 2 players at the top of this list, but they've played 2 games and 1 game respectively. Ever heard of Daquan Plowden or Damian Baugh?
No.
Okay, good. Of players in the NBA this season who have attempted 3.9 threes per game or more, number 1, Luke Kennard. He's averaging 4.4 3-pointers per game, 3-point attempts per game, and he's making 47.8 of them. Percent of them.
Okay.
Taurean Prince is next. 4 3-point attempts per game. He's making 46.2. In third place, Keon Ellis. 3.9 3-point attempts per game, and he is making 45.1% of them, just ahead of Nikola Jokic, Karl Anthony Towns, and Rui Hachimura. Shout out to Keon Ellis.
Yeah, man, he's just been really, really good. And on top of that, his defense is just some of the best defense in the league we're seeing from guards.
Yeah, he's just disruptive.
Yeah, he's really if he's not second team All NBA level, he's right close to it.
Very, very close.
Yeah, I don't think he'll get the notoriety for it, but man, he's spectacular. And we talked about this all the time. You need to find a Herb Jones. They found a Herb Jones.
Yep.
That's what Keon is. He's your version of Herb Jones.
Mm-hmm.
You would love to find a 6'8" version of Herb Jones,
sure,
a Herb Jones,
sure.
but at the same time, it's good.
Trey Murphy, you just described.
Well, Trey Murphy's a little bit better. Or I described Herb Jones. Just straight up. Sure. It's Herb Jones. You would love to find one of those guys that is a little bit bigger and still have Keon, because then you start becoming really disruptive if you have 2 or 3 of these guys. But for right now, look, he's bringing everything that the Kings need. And, whether it's off the bench or it's as a starter, he's still getting close to 30 minutes a night. Some nights well over 30. And I think this has got to be the way that you just proceed. I don't think there's a way to disrupt this team in a way that, where you can insert him into the starting lineup, even if it's probably what's best.
All right, we have a ton more to get to about this game, but before we step aside, we have to tell the people, James, about our very favorite sponsor, Jiffy Lube.
We do.
It is the month of February, and Valentine's Day is tomorrow.
It is. Jiffy Lube wants to show you some serious customer love this month with is it too early?
No, go. No.
With their February oil change deals you can find online. Simply visit jiffylube.com and find a service center near you to see these sweetheart deals on oil changes, wiper blades, and more during the month of February. So drive into savings at jiffylube.com today and save in the month of February.
Okay. We're going to step aside. We'll have more on the Kings. Shout out to Jiffy Lube, jiffylube.com. We'll have more on the Kings win over the Pelicans last night. We'll talk some Markelle Fultz, who is now a Sacramento King, the former number 1 pick. And did the Kings get any help from around the NBA last night? We'll talk about that next on ESPN 1320 at Sacramento Sports Center.
My bad.
We're clear.
Like, oh, you're teeing me up. Like, wait, no, I should probably wait. Oh, yeah, they're saying Zion hasn't played on the second night of a back-to-back since October.
And he was questionable last night.
Yeah. I think it was hilarious that it was almost like a running joke. Well, if he plays tomorrow night, if he wants to sit out, it'll make life a lot easier on us. Like, oh, that's not weird. He's like, but how would I get my points per game up higher? Like, I only get 4 to 6 opportunities to beat the Kings every year, or at least put up numbers. What's going on, Shady House?
Wait, there's YouTube TV CBS beef right before March Madness?
Yes.
Ooh.
But if they don't fix it, YouTube TV said if they don't get it fixed before March Madness, they will give you an $8 credit a month to pay for CBS streaming service.
Oh, wow, that's nice.
Yeah. I read this yesterday. They sent us an email, Kyle.
Nice.
What's going on, everybody? Olenek could play. I don't know. Is that a possibility? He's been away for personal reasons since the trade. The NBA injury report doesn't come out for that game until later. Let's see, 12:30. Yeah. Nothing is submitted today because every team is playing on a back-to-back. Markelle Fultz will. I don't even know if he'll be in uniform tonight. Like, people are asking if he's going to make his debut. I think the Kings are going to want to see what Markelle Fultz looks like. Oh.
Now, back to the Insiders with James Ham and Kyle Madsen, brought to you by Jiffy Lube on ESPN 1320.
James Ham is over yonder. I'm Kyle. Jiffy Lube is omnipresent. They sponsor the program. Shout out to Jiffy Lube. The Kings beat the Pelicans last night, 119-111. That wasn't the only Kings news from last night, though. The Kings have another point guard.
They do.
Shams Charania of ESPN reported that Sacramento is signing Markelle Fultz, the former number 1 overall pick from the 2017 draft. Fultz is 26 years old, almost 27. He's played in 234 games, averages 11 points and about 4.5 assists for his career. Career 27.4% three-point shooter, not a willing shooter either at 1.2 attempts per game, 47.2% from the field for his career. Where do you land on Markelle Fultz?
I don't hate the signing. Look, he's young enough. He's proven that he can score in the NBA. I think, the one thing you pointed out there, he's played like 235 games in his career?
234.
234, which is less than 3 years of NBA games, and he's in his 8th. Again, expecting him to walk out and step on a court when he hasn't played competitively since I got May 5th. Orlando lost in the playoffs to Cleveland on May 5th, and he actually played 13 minutes in that game. He hasn't played since then on a court. So what are we talking about? 9 months, roughly.
Yeah.
That he hasn't actually played NBA basketball. Like, look, he does a few things really well. He's got good size. He can score. He's busted up the Kings in the mid range a couple of times. He does have like a unique game. I think he's a really good passer. I think there's a lot of talk about how good he is defensively. I think he's a quality defender. I don't think he's like a, blow your socks off type of defender here. But look, as of today, I think he's probably one of the better options. You're not taking a risk on Bones Highland, it sounds like. A guy like Reggie Jackson might go elsewhere. If they're bought out, there's going to be guys in the buyout market, but a lot of those guys might be headed to teams that, that they're choosing, where Fultz is he's been waiting around. He's been healing up and getting ready for the right opportunity for him. And he clearly thinks that Sacramento is probably the right opportunity.
Yeah, it's probably where there's going to be minutes.
Yeah.
They need somebody to just run the point and to handle the ball. And I thought that could be DeMar DeRozan and Zach LaVine, but it's clearly not when Malik Monk's not on the court. So I'm with you, man. Like, and this isn't a buyout situation, to be clear. He like James just said, he hasn't played at all this year.
No.
He's been a free agent.
He did not play in the G League. He didn't play anywhere. So the fact that he's just been hanging out looking for the right opportunity,
right?
That's fine.
This is a very low risk, potentially high reward flyer. If he's good and he can give you 10 minutes a night, 12 minutes a night, and he can get you a couple points and dish out a couple assists and just not turn the ball over, great. If he can't, okay, you're back where you started. And of all the people who were available, and we actually talked about this last week, Reggie Jackson is probably the best option available in the buyout market. Has he even officially been bought out yet?
I don't think so.
So if he is available, though, he's probably the best option, but he's going to go somewhere that is in the playoffs now. Or where he has a chance to play like significant minutes.
I'd say the same about Malcolm Brogdon. Like if Brogdon gets bought out, there's a good chance that he's just going to go somewhere that just makes perfect sense for him to rebuild a little bit of value, but also have a shot at a ring. I mean, like if you're Brogdon, I don't know that the Celtics are going to come calling, but if they would, that's where you would go. Somewhere you played before, where you have a comfort level, but also where you got a shot. A shot to go win a title. So I think that's where a lot of players will be in the buyout market. And, again, like Reggie Jackson, perfectly fine player, but I mean, he's almost 35. Like we're talking about a guy who, realistically hasn't been great the last couple of seasons. And you're hoping that, you're going to swing for the fence. Markelle Fultz, at least, if he doesn't play, it's understandable. And, whatever minutes he gets is what he gets. Some of these other players might expect more as well. And I hate to tell people this, but there's not a lot of ways to take minutes away. And the person who's going to lose minutes is the guy that usually loses minutes and everyone gets angry when he loses minutes. And that's Keon Ellis.
Yep.
So I would rather take a flyer on a guy like this. And if he plays 5-8 minutes a game, if he doesn't play for 2 weeks straight, but this team had no backup plan if there was an injury to Malik Monk. And now you at least have a backup plan.
Yeah, man. It's nobody's going to sit here and pound the table for Markelle Fultz minutes. At least, and if we do, the Kings are in a really bad place. And if you're going to take a flyer on a guy, take a flyer on the former number 1 overall pick.
Yeah.
Why not? I'd way rather that than Jamari Bouye or whoever else we talked about.
Yeah. There's a bunch of guys that maybe aren't NBA players. And again, the Kings have Daishen Nix for another couple of days. I think his 10-day will expire during the All-Star break, and he'll likely go back to his team, his G League team, right? The Kings roster drops back down to 13 players when that happens. So they still have 2 open roster spots here once Nix's contract is up. And so they can tinker. They can try different things down the stretch here. But Fultz is from what I read last night, a full season, like the rest of the season contract, which is the same thing they did with Jay Crowder. Jay Crowder got like a prorated version of the veteran minimum for the rest of the season. So
Yeah.
Jay's making like 1.76 million or something.
Yeah. Getting back into the game last night. Shout out to the 5:00 p.m. Pacific time start.
Love it.
Oh, it's the best.
Mm-hmm.
Because the East Coast, you'll get that 4:00 start. But that's still for me personally. This is a Kyle Madsen joint here. You might love the 4:00 start, and if you do, salute. But for me, with the work I do here after the show, 4:00 is usually pretty shortly after I get home, and so I don't have time to do anything before the game starts. The 5:00 start, though, I got time to get some writing done. I got time to get some stuff around the house done, and then I can start my workout when the Kings game starts. That's when I like to do cardio while the Kings game is on, because then the cardio goes faster.
And it makes you feel like you're part of the game, like you're running up and down the court.
yeah, exactly. No, and I'm not like on my phone and stuff, so I'm like paying attention. I focus more. So, anyways, that's just my routine. That's how I like it. But with the 5:00 start, game's over by like 7:15, 7:30. I got so much done last night.
Yeah,
I watched Wyatt Earp and the Cowboy Wars on Netflix.
Oh.
It's great. 6-part documentary. Ed Harris narrates it. It's like it's not a docu-series necessarily.
I started watching it, but then I thought, okay, I need to watch this with my son, who's a history major.
Oh, it's great.
And transferring to Davis.
Because I haven't done any. I've done most of my re-dive into U.S. history has been, I've started in kind of the Revolutionary War era.
Oh, yeah.
And so I haven't gotten to specifically the Civil War and what happened in the West post-Civil War.
Yeah, the history of the West, I love it.
The Wild West is just off my radar from a history standpoint. So much of this, I've heard the name Wyatt Earp because, of course, the movie Tombstone, right? Like I've which I've never seen, but I've heard the name Wyatt Earp. Yeah, I know. I've heard the name Doc Holliday. Like I know all those people.
Yep.
But I did not know any of the background, and the deep dive 6-part documentary on all of that. Because it starts with the shootout at the OK Corral,
of course,
and then goes a little bit of the lead up to that, but then all of the stuff that happened after it.
Yeah,
and
it's pretty
just
wild,
phenomenal. It's so good.
Yeah, I need to go through and watch that. I did watch the Surviving Black Hawk Down yesterday, which was that is riveting, like absolutely, because if you've seen Black Hawk Down,
which I have not,
phenomenal war movie. But you're kind of left with not understanding the good guys and the bad guys, and I think the documentary really puts it in perspective.
I've been hemming and hawing on whether or not to check that one out, because
it's not gory.
Okay.
Maybe Black Hawk Down is very gory,
right?
But the film, the way that they did the film, the documentary series, they don't they do some basic shootings, and they also have footage. Like there's part of the documentary is there's a cameraman who's saying he's a Somalian, who had bought a camera and just started going and chasing, and then started shipping the footage, selling the footage, and it was playing on the air the next day in America.
That's so crazy.
Yeah, just absolutely crazy to see how it was going on. Yeah, it's just really a weird situation that spun out of control badly.
American Primeval on Netflix as well. Mark Souza shouted that show out.
We've lost our way here.
No, it's fine. 5:00 starts, Kings games. That's why we like them so much. American Primeval is the reason I started watching the Wyatt Earp documentary. Because American Primeval is not fully nonfiction. It's based loosely. I'm sorry, it's not fully fiction. It's based in a nonfiction world. It's got Brigham Young and the
it's historical fiction.
Yes.
Yeah.
And they took great pains to make sure that they had all the dynamics between the United States military and the Mormons and the Native Americans.
Yeah.
They tried to make all those dynamics right. And then the stories are fiction, but the interactions, they tried to make them as real to history as possible. But anyways, that's what made me be like, hey, I know nothing about the American West. It's just a plot hole for me in my history knowledge.
That's okay. Yeah. I took history of the West at Davis, incredible professors.
Speaking of the West, the Kings didn't get a lot of help last night in the Western Conference.
They didn't.
So the Warriors and Mavs played. The Mavericks won 111-107. So the Kings gained a game on Golden State for the first time in like 8 games.
Yep.
So they finally gained a game of separation there. But the problem is they didn't gain on the Mavs, who remain a half game up on the Kings for the 8th seed.
Okay.
Not the end of the world. The Mavs, I think, are going the wrong direction.
I would kind of prefer what happened because, to be honest with you, you want a little separation from the Warriors. You don't want the Warriors building a bunch of momentum. And the Mavs are hanging on for dear life. And they're not going to be hanging on that much longer. They're going to have a really tough time avoiding the play-in and maybe even worse.
Yeah.
Just because of the injuries and because of the trade. But for me, I would rather see them win a game here, stay half game up for now, because you're going to track down the Mavs. I don't think that's going to be a problem. It's fending off the Warriors that I think might be a bigger problem.
Yeah, so I'm interested to see if Dallas galvanizes around all this. If they just get with Kyrie Irving and Kyrie says, "I'm going to backpack this team, and we're gonna show everybody."
Okay.
Like, to hell with the team for trading Luka, to hell with the fans who are out there throwing funerals for the team or whatever they're doing. We're just gonna go win and we're gonna show them.
That's possible, but the problem that he has is like his top 4 centers are gone.
Yeah, it's tough.
Like I don't like even Dwight Powell's it can't play.
Yeah.
He's got a hip issue, and like you're looking at Derek Lively's out. I think for the season.
I'm not saying I'd bet on it. I'm just interested to see if that's kind of the way this goes.
Yeah,
because last night was a very, very inspired effort from a very shorthanded Mavs team. The Bucks beat the Timberwolves. That's a W for the Kings.
Yep.
You gain a full game on 7 seed Minnesota. The Rockets beat the Suns. The Suns are now 2 full games behind Sacramento. And
yeah. They're 2 games under 500.
Yeah, man.
That to me is absolutely wild that's where they are.
And then apparently I haven't heard firm reporting on this, but apparently like the dynamic is really weird now with Kevin Durant because they tried to trade him. And he's saying all the right stuff publicly, like this is a business and, we're going to go out and play basketball. But I imagine that's a weird situation.
I think everything is weird there. Even the Bradley Beal thing.
Yeah, that's been weird too.
Yeah, you shipped out Nurkic, but, you thought Nick Richards would help, and it really, like, he's played well, but it hasn't really helped. Yeah, that's a rough situation. Again, I think the Clippers are a target that you're looking at. The Lakers, those are targets that you're looking at if you're the Kings, that you might be able to keep climbing if you take care of business right now. I'm not just putting them like Minnesota and Dallas are teams that they can pass. I think there are more, but you got to figure out how to continue this sort of physical play into the second half.
Yeah, I think the play-in teams kind of might be set.
Okay. You think the play-in are the Timberwolves, Mavs, Kings, and Warriors?
I think so.
Okay.
I'll explain in a second. The Clippers also beat the hell out of the Grizzlies, so the Clippers stayed 2.5 games up in the 6th seed. Here's why I say this. One, I don't think the Suns, let me rephrase. I don't think the play-in teams are set. I think the top 10 are going to be the top 10 in some order.
Okay.
I don't think the Suns are going to bounce back. They have a lot of top-end talent, and it's really hard to just rule them out. But I don't see them turning things around. The fact it hasn't happened yet, I have a hard time believing in that. And then there's still the injury stuff you got to worry about with them.
Yeah, I'm with you.
So if one of Kevin Durant or Devin Booker or Bradley Beal get hurt, they look a lot less formidable. And now they're 2 games under with those guys playing.
Yep.
The other thing is, and our very favorite Yahoo writer, Kevin O'Condor, tweeted about this last night, that the Spurs are doing a soft tank because they traded for De'Aaron Fox, who openly was like, yeah, I want to play with Stephon Castle. And they're still starting Chris Paul next to De'Aaron Fox and bringing Stephon Castle off the bench. They're 4-10 in their last 14 games, and they're tied in the win column with the Blazers.
Yeah, that's not good.
They theoretically, they could commit to trying to make a run and be a little bit dangerous, but they don't appear to want to.
I'm just really surprised because they have Atlanta's pick, right? And Atlanta is going in the tank. Like Atlanta has very little opportunity to survive this season.
Right.
They even went out and traded Hunter. They traded Bogdanovich at the deadline. Like then they went out and win a game or two. They might be okay, but I don't think so. I don't get it. Like if you're trying to build something, I guess you're a much better team if you build it with Victor Wembanyama and Cooper Flagg and De'Aaron Fox and Stephon Castle and Sohan and all the other pieces that
God,
they
if you
did
had
not.
Cooper Flagg on that team. Holy smokes.
Well, so that's the question though. Like, what are you tanking for? I guess it could be that maybe they're just, again, like Popovich is gone. He can't coach right now.
If they were gonna like soft tank by just playing their young players and being like, yeah, go develop.
Okay.
That'd be one thing, but starting Chris Paul for what?
Yeah, it doesn't make any sense. Out of respect.
Are they right? Is it that he's a first ballot Hall of Famer thing?
Maybe.
I have no idea, but the Hawks, to your point, were 22-19. They beat the Celtics to move to 22-19. I think they're 3-0 against the Celtics this year.
That's weird.
Then they lost 8 in a row, but then they've won 4 out of their last 6. And they're up to 26-29. They lost to the Knicks in overtime last night by 1.
Okay, well then maybe if you are the
weird team.
Yeah, maybe if you're San Antonio, you're like, hey, maybe that Hawks pick isn't going to be great. Let's go ahead and tank. Yeah,
maybe.
I guess. There's no guarantee that they're going to be great. That Victor Wembanyama is going to be we all know Victor Wembanyama is going to be incredible, but they're going to be a team that figures it out. There's no guarantee that that's going to happen.
Yeah,
next year or the year after.
Sure.
So it's intriguing.
916-909-1320 is the Elk Grove Kia talk line. 916-909-1320 caller. I see on the line. Hang in there. We'll have to get to you coming up, and we don't have a call screener today. No Joe Brazil. It was short-lived. Salute to our guy, Joe. I think he's going to be back tomorrow. I don't know. We'll figure that out on the fly. But yeah, I just say maybe Golden State falls completely out of it at some point. They lose like 10 in a row. Maybe that happens to the Mavs at some point and this changes. But I think right now the 10 or the 10. Okay. Because I don't think anybody outside the 10 is going to make a substantial run.
I don't disagree with you.
But
yeah.
Anyways, we'll get to your calls. We'll take a look at tonight's Kings-Pelicans game. And then we got some more notes from last night's game that we have not gotten to dig into yet. He's James Ham. I'm Kyle Madsen. We're the Insiders, and we're sponsored by Jiffy Lube. This is ESPN 1320, Sacramento Sports Leader.
That's not very nice. I'm texting you a funny thing on.
What in the world? Jesus, Zabo.
Yeah, the Kings can extend Keon this summer. There's some talk that he's an unrestricted free agent after his 3 years here. I don't believe that's the case. I would have to do more research, but he's entering the final year. He actually has a team option for next year at like $2.1 million, something ridiculously low, 2.3 million, something like that. But if you've been with the team for 2 years and you're entering the final year of a contract, you can sign an extension. Now, the problem is there's going to be limitations on the amount of a raise he can get, I believe. And that's where I think the Kings, they got to figure out the best way to handle the Keon Ellis situation. $2.3 million is his player option for next year. And I think it's all non-guaranteed.
That thing you sent me is so funny.
Yeah, is it? Yeah.
Bulls fans not satisfied with Kevin Huerter.
No, they're not. I see a lot of people saying he's an unrestricted free agent, and I don't know why he would be an unrestricted free agent, because you signed him as a two-way player, you upgraded him to a regular contract, and the contract was for 3 years. And so I'm confused why he would be an unrestricted free, because players who have who get into the league the way he did, like two-way to like getting a regular contract, they are typically they fall into the same exact rules as someone who is drafted does. So I don't know. Niley Berlin, I don't know that he didn't enjoy his time with the Grizzlies. He was not a fan favorite. He was the opposite of a fan favorite in Memphis for whatever reason. So whatever has happened here where all of a sudden he's a fan favorite, it's new for him. Yeah, I know Spotrac has him listed as a UFA, but I don't know how that would like really is the case. Because like they gave him a 3-year deal. Now, like he does have bird rights for sure. Like he's on a 3-year contract, even though part of it was, a half of a season last year. That doesn't change anything. Keon Ellis, I think, is 24. 25. He just turned 25. Tyler, the Kings didn't draft him, but they signed him as a two-way player like right away on draft night. Tyler, it's just an end of the year contract with Fultz. He's under contract for the rest of the season. So it's just a league minimum deal.
Oh, we have a thing to do right now.
Oh.
Here we go.
Now, back to the Insiders with James Ham and Kyle Madsen, brought to you by Jiffy Lube on ESPN 1320.
He's James Ham. I'm Kyle Madsen. Jiffy Lube sponsors the program, and the Kings and Pelicans play again tonight. Why not? Let's run it back.
Let's do it again. Let's play two.
The Kings and Pelicans are just going to play for eternity. Only the Kings keep coming out on the winning side this time.
Yeah.
A nice little change.
It is.
I wonder what the West looks like in the world where the Pelicans season goes the way they hoped it would. Because they're still banking on Zion. Whether that's smart or not, TBD. But they were banking on a healthier season from Zion. Brandon Ingram, you bring in DeJounte Murray. He's going to be the guard that they're missing alongside CJ McCollum. So CJ McCollum doesn't have to do so much work. And it's Jose Alvarado and Trey Murphy and Herb Jones. And oh man, watch out for the Pelicans. Like I think there was an opportunity for them to be a factor, particularly when you look at the back end of the West, where man, 500 and you're the 10 seed. I think they could have really been a factor, and they're just not.
Yeah,
the opposite.
I think that they probably are a team that assumed they would be 6 through 10, and maybe even a little bit higher than that. They went out and they got DeJounte Murray during the offseason. Like they have, like on paper, a really, really good roster, except for the fact that they had no center. And like Yves Missi, like becoming something is better than what they had. They literally walked into the season with nothing.
Daniel Tice.
Well, and they signed Daniel Tice like in training camp.
Yeah.
But I mean, that's a problem when you walk into a season without a center and walk into a season banking on Zion Williamson, who doesn't play, like, again, he hasn't played back-to-back games since like October. So I don't know what you expected here, but once any type of injury hit, you are in trouble. It doesn't make any sense though. Like, look at their roster: CJ, DeJounte Murray, Murphy, Ingram to start the season, Alvarado, Herb Jones, Zion.
Good team.
Yeah, you're like, hey, that's a really, really good team. We talk about, hey, can you get in Sacramento? Can you get 8 players who can play?
Yeah.
They got like 10 that can
Yeah.
play.
Yeah.
And they're just not good.
Yeah. Now, well, nevertheless, do you think last night's game, is there any chance that it serves as, this might be wishful thinking by me, but hey, what are we doing? Is there any chance that it serves as some kind of like wake up call
for the Kings?
Yeah, like maybe the Kings were sloppy in the first quarter last night because they went, this team's down bad. We're just going to throw the ball around. We're just going to go win, and all of a sudden they're up 8 at the end of 1, and you got a tight game down the stretch.
Maybe it does, but I think this is 2 ships passing in the night, right? This is a team that is on their way to the bottom, and a team that's trying to climb.
Mm-hmm.
And so I believe, this is a true getaway game in the NBA. Everyone knows that the last game before the All-Star break is like half the guys check out.
Yeah.
I think the Kings aren't that team. They can't be that team right now. They can't check out. And it doesn't matter what they've got on their table for tomorrow. Today matters to them.
Yeah.
And I think they look at the standings the same way we do. They know how much this game means, and they're hoping that Zion doesn't play just so it makes it an easier game. And hey, let's just play a nice, easy one where we're up by 25 in the mid-third, and we finish this thing out with a bunch of the young guys playing, a bunch of the guys who don't get to play, out on the court. Get Mason Jones some burn as a 2-way contract.
Sure.
Get Dasheen Nix into a game, all that stuff. That would be the hope for the Kings, that this team just lays down, that the Pelicans just lay down, and like we go into the All-Star break without a bunch of fireworks.
I'm banking on none of that.
Well, because they've proven time and time again that they're just not that team.
Right.
Yeah.
If last night's game, because we were doing the road to 45, right? Like I think 45 wins.
The road to 45.
45 comfortably puts you in the play-in. I think that gets you in by multiple games.
Okay.
So 45 wins is the number I circled. If last night was an 8 on a scale to 10 in importance, tonight's like a 9.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
This is not, for all of the reasons you just laid out. This is a prime spot where human nature sets in. And the Pelicans are 1, 2, 3 Cancun, or Cancun on 3, or whatever the phrase is. I don't know.
Yeah.
I've never said that in my life, so apologies for botching it. The Pelicans are doing the Cancun on 3 thing on December 3rd or February 13th.
Yeah.
If you go lose tonight, that's a mess. That means that you're mentally not in the right place.
Well, it also means that you walk into the All-Star break 1 game over 500. And just like clinging to life, and you might be above the Warriors, you might not. You might be tied with them again because they play again tonight.
Yeah, they got Houston though, and Steph's not going to play.
Oh, okay. It just puts you in the wrong frame of mind for this final 29 game stretch or 28 games, whatever it is.
That's just it. Is I can sit here and I can whine about the wind didn't look the way I thought it would or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
But
I've heard that from you.
This is this is what you were saying yesterday. It's what Kenny was saying the last couple of days. Like, just win right now. Like, just win however you can. And that has never been more true than tonight. You just got to figure it out tonight.
No, I totally agree. And I mean, if you win this game, you're now on a 4-game win streak going into the All-Star break.
Mm-hmm.
That is momentum. You come out of the All-Star break with some practices. You come out of the All-Star break with a soft schedule for a couple of games. You can start building and try to get up to that 7-8 games over 500 right away.
Mm-hmm.
And then can you balance and just stay 500 the rest of the way?
Mm-hmm.
Right? So if you can get up to 8 games over, 9 games over, and then just like flatline, like win the games you're supposed to win, lose some of the games you're supposed to lose, and just try to stay afloat the rest of the way, then you got a shot here to be not only a play-in team, but maybe a 7-8 in the play-in.
Sure, where you just need to win 1 to get into the playoffs.
Yeah, exactly. So you're the 7. Somehow you get up to 6, you're in the playoffs. Somehow you get up to 7, at least
you get a home game where you can win and you make the playoffs.
That's right.
Yeah.
There's some advantages to like picking up wins here at the end of the schedule, at the
Yeah.
end of the first half of the season.
Big time. And just, I mean, it gives you margin for error too. Not every game, because when you're hanging around 500 and you've got two teams breathing down your neck for the last play-in spot, every game comes with so much. You have no room to slip up. But hey, you stack these wins now. Hey, now all of a sudden when you play Boston, yeah, okay, you know what? Not that big of a deal. If you slip up against the Knicks and you lose to the Knicks, okay.
Well, we do have good news for the Sacramento Kings. It has been confirmed that Zion Williamson will not play tonight.
All right. There you go. Do we expect anyone from the Kings to sit?
No.
Yeah, you got to sprint through the finish line here.
Yeah, I fully expect them to.
If they were if the Kings were the 3 seed right now or something, I would go into tonight's game wondering, like, if all things remain the same, but the Kings were the 3 seed. All things being, minutes and injuries and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
I would look at tonight and go, hey, maybe this is a game where you can just steal a night off for DeMar. You can steal maybe a short night for Domas. But you can't. Everybody's got to go because you got to go win. And you have not put yourself in a position roster-wise to be able to be like, yeah, DeMar, go ahead and sit tonight.
Yeah. No,
not gonna work.
No, nobody gets a night off. Yeah. Like, you're hoping the guys play less because you run up the score on somebody.
Yeah.
But no.
Not betting on that.
I'm not betting on that either. It doesn't look like Olenek will make his debut either, and Brandon Boston has also been ruled out. This is all according to our friends at Underdog.
Oh, shout out to Underdog.
Which they've got to have a link somewhere that's helping them put this stuff out there. But it has not been put out on the injury report or through the Pelicans PR account. So
King starters tonight: Malik Monk, Zach LaVine, DeMar DeRozan, Keegan Murray, Domantas Sabonis. I would guess for the Pelicans, it's Jose Alvarado, CJ McCollum, Trey Murphy, and then maybe Matkovic starts.
Probably. He's got 6 fouls to give in 14 minutes.
Boy, does he. My man is just, first of all, in the face, he looks like Landry Shamet. So Carlo Matkovic is 23 years old, almost 24. He's a rookie. And there were a couple of moments last night where you just watch him move and you're like, oh, okay, okay. He kind of knows what he's doing. And then you watch the totality of the game and you watch him foul out without taking a shot. And you're like, oh, that's still very much a rookie. Well, he's gotten a little burn lately for them.
He was holding on for dear life against Jonas Valanciunas. Like he was like, what is that thing?
Yeah, dude.
Like, I'm getting beat up by Domas. Now, who is that and what is going on?
This is a guy who had 5 points, 11 boards, and 4 assists against Denver. And then the next night against Denver, 10 points, 9 boards, and an assist with a steal and 2 blocks. 6 points, a couple boards, a steal, and a block against the Kings on Saturday. And then 8, 9, and 2 with 3 blocks against OKC. Like, oh man, look at this guy. And nope.
he got thumped.
Yeah, he had a rough go.
Ugly
My guess
stuff.
is he starts tonight. Keon against CJ McCollum is a matchup of the night for me.
Of course it is. And again, I think the second matchup is Keegan against Trey Murphy.
Yeah.
Like, keep playing.
Those are the two guys that are going to take a lot of the shots.
Yep.
They did such a great job on CJ last night.
They did.
I was really impressed. Making him drive, and then every time he drove, he was having to do it through 2 or 3 defenders. And he made some shots. He made some tough shots. But if you can make CJ McCollum really, really have to work the way they did, like, that's the best you can do. Sometimes he's going to put 20 on your head anyway.
Yeah, I mean, he was 0 for 5 from 3 and ran a negative 23 in that game last night. That's the Keon Ellis effect right there.
Yeah, no doubt. We'll have keys to victory coming up for you later. My guesses are going to look like a lot like last night.
I think so.
That's James Ham. I'm Kyle Madsen. The Kings looking to make it 4 in a row heading into the All-Star break. It's a big one tonight. And we'll have those keys to victory for you coming up in a bit right here on ESPN 1320. That is Sacramento Sports Leader.
Yeah, man, I think out of everybody, Keegan probably is the guy who needs to break the worst, the All-Star break. Like, that dude needs to clear his head. He needs to get away from the game. He needs to, like, go in his backyard and fish. I think he's got a nice lake in his backyard. He needs to get away from the game because, again, like, this season has not gone how he expected it. You added more scoring at the deadline, and that doesn't exactly help him. But also, him and the Foxes were close. And that doesn't feel good when one of your veteran gets traded. And so I wouldn't doubt that he needs just like a mental break to get away from the game and to recharge. And I think he'll be better in the second. Well, we call it the second half, but it's really like the post All-Star break schedule, which is not nearly half the schedule. I don't think we're getting any Fultz minutes tonight. I think the Kings are going to sign him, bring him in, have him like work out with the team during the during the All-Star break, and just kind of get in the flow in Sacramento. I mean, again, he hasn't played since May. He hasn't played a G League game. He hasn't played in Europe. He hasn't played at all. So I don't know what he's going to look like. Although I'm assuming they had a workout for him and checked him out before they signed him. Maybe not. And then again, I could be wrong. He could play like 12 minutes tonight. We'll be like, what in the world? How did that happen? Scooter, I'm sure a lot of people would take him fishing. You can come up and go fishing in the lake if you want. I'll call you in the gate. My guess would be maybe not. I don't know.
Hey.
Jumble, I only have 3 boats. I only have 1 boat, really. Well, 2. But I don't fish. But one of the boats is a open deck pontoon boat with a fish finder.
Welcome back to hour number 2 of the ESPN 1320 Insiders. Get ready for the most up-to-date sports news and talk with the ESPN 1320 Insiders.
Hour number 2, that's James Ham. I'm Kyle Madsen. We're rocking with you until noon. Then we'll hand it off to D-Lo and Casey. Coming up in 20 minutes, Mark Jones, voice of the Sacramento Kings, is going to hop on with us to talk about the Kings, but I also want to ask him about the NBA Celebrity All-Star Game that he is broadcasting tomorrow night.
Okay.
I can't wait.
No, I
have
love
so
it.
many questions.
It's like to walk in Mark Jones' shoes for a day would be fun. Like to just
would it?
He just he's all over the place. He's all over the map every single day. You have no idea where he's going to be flying to.
And
crazy.
He's one of those people that on a basketball court where there are so many like influential, like high profile people, and Mark Jones just happens to stand out as like one of the coolest dudes in the room everywhere he goes.
Everywhere he goes, Mark
God.
Jones is. It's like him and Alvin Gentry are like the coolest dudes in the room. Everywhere they go.
If he wasn't a nice guy, I'd really hate him.
He's such a good dude. I hope
guy.
I hope people get that from our conversations with him.
I
But
hope so.
like we're definitely fans of Mark Jones. He's just he's a very, very down to earth and cool dude behind the scenes.
I broke my pen.
You broke your pen. That's not good.
No. Trying to fix it.
Okay.
Oh, fixed it. Got it. Okay. Hey, here we go. I was gonna do the stuff we had earlier on the Kings game, but we'll circle back to it via 6 quick thoughts. Here we go.
How'd yesterday's Kings game go?
Yeah, thumbs
Kings insider James Ham has 6 notes you need to know. Here are James Ham's 6 quick thoughts.
James Ham of the Kings Beat, thekingsbeat.com. Subscribe today. The 6 quick thoughts. Jeez Louise, number 1.
Neon Keon, or what are they calling him? 3-on? I don't know. Whatever you want to call him, the dude was on fire. He had 13 of his 27 points in the first quarter. Made 7 threes on the night, played incredible defense. And Kyle, I don't know how to do it, but like they just have to find, maybe they, as opposed to shortening the game to 10-minute quarters like Adam Silver's asking, we can petition the league to go up to 15-minute quarters so Keon Ellis can get another 9 minutes per game.
Yeah, but proportionally, I don't know if that works. Yeah, man, I don't know. If I've made my case for Keon to start, and nobody likes any of the solutions, so to hell with it. He shouldn't start.
It's just a really odd situation to be in. And, like, I think the Kings are a better team if he's starting, but I just don't know how to do it. Right? I'm not going to bench Keegan.
Here's my, right, you can't. Here's my caveat with this. If Keon is going to shoot it, if he's going to come in as early as he does, and then score it the way he did last night, it changes the calculus a little bit. But I still you have 3 guys in your lineup who are like microwave scorers, and you need defensive help. It seems like you just grab one of those guys and say, hey, the best thing for us is for you to come off the bench. So that's what you're going to do. You're still going to play 30 minutes a night, 28 to 30 minutes a night, but you're going to do it off the bench. Keon's going to start, and that's how we're going to do it. But apparently they can't, because Hall of Famer and $43 million guy, and Malik Monk, you can't put the toothpaste back in the tube. Like, all right, cool. You're going to be mid then. Awesome. Yeah. Cool.
No,
that's my quibble.
I would say that there is a world in which, like, you could put Malik Monk back on the bench, but I don't think that includes a world where Zach LaVine and Keon Ellis are starting backcourt. Like, you have to have a point guard on the court.
Yep.
And I know you have Domas and you have a bunch of guys who can average 5 or 6 assists per game, but it's just nearly impossible. I'm not gonna give up my best point guard option to move Keon into the starting lineup.
Nope.
And then you just get into the weird, like, how do you go to DeMar, or how do you go to Zach LaVine and say one of you guys has to go to the bench? Because I don't think that they're like, I don't think either one of them are gonna be like super excited about it.
Oh, they definitely wouldn't be.
And they're both here like pretty much for the next 2 years.
Yep.
After this year. Complicated, man.
It is. It's not easy. I make it sound easy. Like, yeah, you go up to DeMar DeRozan and say you're 30-6. You're going to come off the bench now.
Mm-hmm.
But obviously you can't just do that.
Nope.
There's interpersonal dynamics and things at play.
There's all kinds of dynamics in place.
But I'm going to sit here on the microphone and have a strong take about it. Let me tell you.
Yep.
Number 2.
Let's see. Number 2. DeRozan was really good again. 24 points. Right now, what he's doing is he's keeping the offense afloat until they figure out how to play offense together with a new group of players.
Mm-hmm.
And it's just like, hey, man, we need 20-something from you every night. We might need 40 from you certain nights, but just keep it afloat. And I think he's trying to be a passer.
Mm-hmm.
And so he is, stuffing the stat sheet a little bit. But at the same time, this is like it's a Band-Aid solution until they get to the All-Star break and they can reset and kind of figure everything out. I expect him to still be a 20-point per game scorer after the All-Star break, but in a different capacity, like where you're not relying on him every single night to bail you out, which is what it feels like at this point. And I think he is doing a good job of bailing them out in a tough situation, which is why they've won 3 in a row right now.
Mm-hmm.
But things have to change after the All-Star break when this thing has to move more fluidly after the All-Star break.
Yeah, man. Getting DeMar DeRozan more active passing the ball is, I think, going to be key here. If we're talking ceiling and getting the Kings where they need to go.
Mm-hmm.
His assist rate is the lowest it's been since 2012-13.
Okay.
And granted, his usage rate is also lower than it's been since that same year. In fact, it's the exact same as it was that same year. But I would like to see him give up the rock a little more often.
Okay.
And I think that's how you can keep the offense in a flow,
I-
while also continuing to rely on him.
It's not even so much the passing; it's that the ball moves, and then it stops, and everyone sees it. It's like time freezes, and that's what you have to get away from. It has to be within the flow of what's happening, which is why, again, hat tip to Keon Ellis. He took a ton of threes last night. All of it looked like it was in the flow. Even if it was from way outside, it was still in the flow. Like he caught the ball in rhythm, boom, catch, fire, away you go. So, and it's funny, I remember, I think it was the one turnover in the second half. Malik Monk went to the basket and threw a bad pass between Keon Ellis's legs, threw it at his feet. And that's where, again, like, hit your teammate where you're supposed to hit him. And that's where, like, developing into more of a natural point guard is where Malik Monk has to go, but it's not easy on the fly.
No, and the what is he at? Over his last 5 games, 5.2 assists and 3.4 turnovers.
Yeah.
That's not going to play.
Trying too hard, man.
Yeah. Number 3.
Levine came alive late. He had a couple of long 3-pointers, 23.7 assists, but he's shooting 20.6% from 3. Like, you're just waiting for all of it to start working, and it's been a little bit of like a difficult sludge here, like, to get him moving the right way in your offense. But I think that there is light at the end of the tunnel. I think Zach LaVine will be actually really good offensively in the second half of the season. And, like, look, he makes a couple of plays defensively here and there that are just like, hey, nice play. And so you're hoping that he fits into the system really well, but you just need practice time for him to really get the flow and to figure out how to, like, get in a 2-man game with Domantas Sabonis, how to do more DHO actions and all that stuff.
Yeah, I don't know, man. I don't know that. Yeah, I think he's going to shoot it better for sure. And you saw, like, the one long contested 3 he took and knocked down. That's not a shot that a lot of guys are capable of hitting.
Nope.
I just wonder when Zach LaVine really starts rolling offensively, and now all of a sudden it's like, hey, now he's got to have the ball in his hands. Because right now you can kind of get by because it's like, hey, he's not shooting it. He's going to give up the rock. We're going to move the ball a little bit. Okay, that's great. But what happens when he starts knocking down threes and he's like, oh yeah, I need to shoot it? Is he going to become now a black hole on offense?
That's what you're hoping that you're going to be able to avoid. That's why you have to have an established offensive, like, flow and basic play sets, and we're just not to that yet.
Yeah.
And
sure.
and again, I think Zach's doing a good job of trying to fit in until they can get to the break and they can have, like, a reset.
Yeah. Number 4? 4.
Yeah, number 4. Sabonis got in foul trouble again, and this one was frustrating. Like, he gets touch fouls against Zion, which I don't understand how that happens, because when Domantas Sabonis goes in the post and tries to run someone over, he doesn't get calls at all. And so I'm just, like, confused by the physicality thing that happens. But I will tell you, the second that he got his 3rd foul early in the game, you almost couldn't play him. And watching him olay defense for the entirety of the second quarter
did nothing.
Was absolutely painful to watch, and I would not have left him out there because he was so timid on defense that he couldn't translate that on the offensive end. He was worried on the offensive end about someone just taking the charge and him picking up his 4th foul. Like, the foul issues with him, he leads the league in fouls, in personal fouls, but watching him get into early foul trouble, that was, like, no bueno, and I wanted to see Valanciunas play more. And to be honest, I wanted to see those guys play together.
Yeah, the non-too big lineup was weird. Not that, because we've said that's not a thing you can rely on a ton. You're not going to see it 20 minutes a game or anything crazy like that. But sprinkle it in here and there. When you've got Domantas Sabonis in foul trouble, that seems like a really good time to run both of them out there.
Yeah.
And take him away from the basket a little bit. And I know that's not his bag defensively, but you put him in a little bit better position to help offensively without carrying all the weight of defending the rim defensively.
Well, that, and, like, Zion Williamson took 1 3-pointer, and Yves Missi didn't take a single 3-pointer. So, like, that was a game where if you have 2 guys who don't play on the perimeter, really, you should be able to use the 2 bigs. So I'm confused why it worked against Dallas when they didn't have any big men and you just tried to overpower them. And it worked.
Mhm.
but I also like why you didn't use it in a game where it like functionally
Very odd.
probably would have helped.
Very odd.
Yeah. So especially you could have had Valanciunas take Zion for a couple of plays where, when Domas got in foul trouble.
Yeah.
So I just don't want to see any more of the like just get out of the way the whole time.
Yeah.
You can't last 8 minutes in a quarter with a guy getting out of the way at center position.
It was the Pelicans buckets that got him to 46 and 48 points. I remember it very vividly. There was one drive down the lane, I think it was McCollum, where Sabonis literally stepped out of the way.
Yeah.
Like stepped aside to not draw any contact. And then the next time down, I think it was McCollum again, missed a layup, got the board, and Sabonis is standing there because he doesn't want to go over the back. He doesn't want to give it. So he just stands there and lets CJ McCollum grab the rebound and then go back up with it while Domas stands right there. It's like, that's just not tenable.
No, he got stuck statistically for the entirety of the second quarter, where he had like 8 points, 6 rebounds, and 4 assists. He had a couple of assists like down the stretch, but there was a moment where he just like got paralyzed by the situation. And to me, he was unplayable for a stretch, which I never think that about Sabonis. But watching him in that situation was like, oh, all right, well, that's not good. Number 5. What do we have? Malik got chippy. I liked him going at CJ McCollum, and I got to be honest, I did not like the play by CJ.
Yeah, that was weird. Like, if you want to foul, just reach out and foul. I don't get the...
Don't lower your shoulder into the guy's ribs.
Yeah, that was weird.
Yeah, I thought that was very strange. And then him acting like, oh, I don't know what you're talking about.
Yeah.
Yeah, you know exactly what you're talking about. And, Malik is a guy who talks a big game. So maybe he was just trying to level him out a little bit. But, I was okay with it.
I loved the way that got handled.
Yeah.
Malik walked over and was like, didn't like that, friend. And CJ McCollum was like, what are you talking about, pal? And they talked it out. And then the ref said, okay, that's enough. Go to your benches.
And let's go look at it.
We're going to take a look.
Yeah.
Instead of being like, T here, get up. Because that's what escalates it. These dudes, like, especially a guy like Malik, who's just a pure hooper. This happens all the time. Go to any open gym across the country. There's going to be a foul somebody doesn't like. You're going to talk it out, and it might get a little heated. It might get a little loud.
Yeah.
But nobody's going to throw. It's basketball, man. You're just going to say, I didn't like that foul. Like, well, I don't know what you're talking about. I didn't do anything. Like, yeah, you did. You threw that. You don't have to do all that. Blah, blah, blah. You get into it. It gets a little chippy. Some people get in, hey, okay, let's get back to it. That's exactly what it is. Like, great. Why doesn't every situation get handled like that? Somebody pushes, somebody somebody says the wrong thing. Okay, fine. You can throw that. But when guys get in discussions, the guys are like, just tee them both up. Yeah. Ugh. It was great. I love the way it's handled.
Yeah, I liked it too. Yeah, and it calmed the game down. Yeah. But I also thought that you need that fire from Malik and from the rest of the team. You need that fire. Somebody coming out there and saying, no.
But in a controlled way.
Yeah.
I think when you throw technicals out there, now all of a sudden everybody's like, wait, now I got a technical, and then it never gets resolved.
No.
I think it resolved itself. It was awesome. Last one quickly.
Searching for his role. Keegan Murray finished with 6 points, 5 assists, which was a season high, and 7 rebounds. He just looks like he doesn't know what his role is on this team at all. A 1 of 5 from the field. Like, he just wasn't part of anything. And, like, he moved the ball fine, but just really comfortable.
He had that early block on Zion. Really nice help side block.
Oh, that was bad. Yeah.
And then nothing. I forgot he played. That can't happen.
No, anyway. It can't. But, again, you look at Trey Murphy last night, 6 of 16 and 1 of 6 from from 3.
Yeah.
Like, he made an impact in that game. He was a plus 22 on the night, second highest plus minus on the
That's
team.
What he said. That's why we talk we say this every time we bring up Keegan. Keegan's a really good player. He is going to be a super valuable player in the NBA for probably a really long time. I just don't know that he's going to be that hit that ceiling that we were really hopeful for after his first year. And that's not a bad thing. I just think it's becoming more clear that ceiling is maybe coming down
lower than we thought. Yeah.
Not the end of the world. He's still an awesome player. He's James. I'm Kyle. Mark Jones, TV voice of the Kings. He's going to join us next right here on The Insider, sponsored by Jiffy Lube. James Ham there. I'm Kyle Madsen. Mark Jones shortly here on ESPN 1320, Sacramento Sports Center. Clear.
You have a read? Or are we just clear?
What?
Do you have a read?
Not till the end.
Okay, cool.
In fact, oh damn.
Everything all right?
Yeah, I'm just trying to figure out.
Sneaky Turtle. This is a good question. I don't know for sure, but I'm gonna guess that they at least went to some sort of private workout or something with him. I don't know. Yeah, that's a huge missell. That's it. Like, I don't know when Trey Murphy was drafted that year. Davion Mitchell had a nice game last night for the Heat, though. I mean, dude started. I think he had 14 points. Okay, so we got Davion Mitchell. Boy, things get really dicey. So Trey Murphy was 17th. Jalen Johnson was 20. Yeah, if the Kings even would have moved down in that draft. Yeah. Yeah, John Bull. When is that Markelle Fultz press conference coming? Yeah, it's a really, really weird draft. It gets really, really bad after Franz Wagner. Davion, Zaire Williamson, Zaire Williams, Book Knight, who's out of the NBA.
James Bouknight.
Primo, out of the NBA. Duarte, out of the NBA. Moody, Kispert, Sengun. Yeah. Hey, we got Mark Jones up in here.
Hey.
What's up, guys?
It's the Mark Jones.
Hey, Mark.
What's going on, man? You guys good?
We're live on the stream right now. We're not on the radio just yet. We're back there in about 20 seconds.
Nice.
We always have to tell Mark Jones that because sometimes he just flays like college football coaches and
Yeah. Hey, hot mic, baby. I always act like the mic is hot. You never want to.
Oh, did we just lose it?
Lose him, or was that just me?
No, I lost him too.
Okay. I don't know what happened. Hang on, we're coming back. Oh, that's not how that works. Here we go. Let's try this again.
Now, back to the Insiders
There we
with
go.
James Ham and Kyle Madsen. Brought to you by Jiffy Lube on ESPN 1320.
And James is there. I'm Kyle, Jiffy Lube, omnipresent, as well as our guy Mark Jones.
Can he not
in
hear
the
us?
building. Can he not? Okay, so he can't hear us, and we also lost his audio briefly. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna take Mark out of there. Let's see. What's that? No. Can you text Mark and tell him to exit the studio and re-enter?
Yeah, actually, what we can do, I'll do this.
Okay, great.
Let's
Live stream.
Yeah, live stream.
Perfect. No, this is going great. I love this. That's fine. We're gonna get Mark Jones. Mark Jones is gonna talk about the NBA celebrity game with us, and he's also obviously gonna talk about your Sacramento Kings. I'm fascinated to find out with the celebrity game how many people I know here, because I'm looking now. Actually, more than I thought I might. I don't know who this person is or this person. A lot of musicians. I'm guessing a lot of these people are like TikTok influencers.
Yeah,
Also, did you know that Jerry Rice and Barry Bonds are the 2 coaches?
that's wild.
It's incredible. I love that.
Yeah, I do
I love
too.
leaning into the sports culture of the area the All-Star game is being played in. That's one of the thrills of an All-Star game for me, is being able to bring those things, bring those things together. Speaking of San Francisco, real quick before we get to Mark Jones, I saw this so it was reported on Sunday that the 49ers had granted Debo Samuel permission to seek a trade.
Okay.
And it was also reported that he asked for this trade in his exit meeting and that the 49ers granted him permission to seek a trade. Do we have Mark?
We do.
Let's go.
Yeah.
Mark, can you hear us now?
Got you now, yeah.
Oh, there he is. Let's go. Mark Jones, everybody.
I got kicked out. I felt like I got kicked out of the club or something like that.
Well, it's funny because you said we were talking at the break, and you're like, you always got to, in this job, you always got to act like the mic is hot, and then the mic cut. Like, Mark Jones, television voice for the Kings. He is broadcasting the NBA Celebrity All-Star Game tomorrow on ESPN out in San Francisco. I have so many questions about that, Mark. But I want to loop you in. I want to loop you in on a conversation we've been having about the Kings in kind of that fine line between, because I'm a naturally pessimistic sports fan, and finding that line between, hey, they're just sneaking by the shorthanded Mavericks and the 12-win Pelicans versus, yeah, hey, they're still figuring things out. They're integrating a bunch of new players. They had 28 assists last night. Keon had 27 off the bench. And finding the difference between, they're stacking towards being competitive in the playoffs versus they're just kind of getting by against bad teams.
Yeah, you know what? I don't think you can put any qualifiers on wins at this point with Sacramento. A win is a win is a win. It doesn't matter how you slice it up, especially when you look at all the mitigating circumstances, right? All the new bodies, all the new players that the Kings have added. The issue of being able to develop chemistry, those are analogous to players being absent on the other side, right? I think anyway, because when you look at even the play of Zach LaVine, right, he's still working his way through the familiarity of his teammates and getting on the same page with them, and Valanciunas as well, and they've got some issues too. So anytime you get a win, I think you just take it and run on to the next, like they will tonight. And all things being considered, I love the resourcefulness that Doug Christie has shown recently in being able to use the different combinations of lineups with the lack of familiarity and making it work. You know, like the Lithuanian Lightning Towers that we saw a couple of games ago in Dallas, using those two guys at the same time, and finding time for LaRavia to look as moderately comfortable as he has. So all things considered, 3-game winning streak, 3 games over 500. Hey, listen, Dallas still had Kyrie. Zion was still playing for New Orleans. You win, you win. Everybody's got their issues in the NBA. So you take it and you run with it.
Mark, you brought up Jake LaRavia there, and, I had a conversation with him before they left, but then you had another conversation with him about like some of the basics that are different in Sacramento versus what they are in Memphis. Just how difficult is it for a player to basically like get off a plane and, hey, we need you to go out there and play. And, oh, by the way, we do this, this, and this are basic principles. I need you to follow those basic principles. Or sometimes you skip that step and they get out on the court and they don't know that they shouldn't be funneling players right to the middle.
Yeah, it's different. Like I asked Jake exactly that. I said, give me the basic differences defensively first. And he said, man, it's a big difference here in Sacramento as compared to Memphis. In Memphis, we would always hedge to the middle. That's where the help was. He said, I've got to deprogram myself because here in Sacramento, we like to ice defensive terminology and send things baseline just because of the way the respective teams are built, right? When you've got Memphis, you've got Jaren Jackson Jr., Defensive Player of the Year, waiting for you in the paint, and Zach Edey as well. Sacramento's built a little differently than that, so they like to send things baseline and keep it out of the paint. So he has to deprogram himself at that end of the floor. Offensively, it was really interesting too, because Memphis this year, I'm not sure if people noticed, but they are the most unique team offensively in the NBA because they run an offense which Taylor Jenkins likes to call invading space. They are last in the league in ball screen actions. They're way below the average. The average is about 78, 80 ball screens, DHOs per game. They're around like 38, 40 per game. So they're really spread, and they work in a system where you just dribble to space, and they have certain rotations. It's almost like a sink and fill type deal. Mm-hmm. And Jake told me that he usually found himself as the guy that was cutting through a lot of times to make space, right? Because when you get a guy cutting through, that opens up part of the floor. And that kind of movement is a little bit different, actually significantly different from our base offense in Sacramento, what we call a 5 or even 4 sometimes. So despite all that, he's done pretty well. And he's still figuring out, he says, where his shots are going to come from within the offense. And, you know, playing with Jaren Jackson Jr., Desmond Bane is a lot different than playing with, you know, Malik and Sabonis and anyone else that we have.
Talking with Mark Jones, television voice of the Sacramento Kings. I assume then that a lot of those same things apply to Zach LaVine, who has had his trouble putting the ball in the basket since joining the Kings.
Yeah. You know what? And I was watching the game last night. I was looking for it. I didn't hear it. But, you know, in Dallas, kind of gave the audience the answers before the test, in that they've got some sets that Zach used to run with DeMar even in Chicago. And they opened the game with it last game, where they ran some chin action, and it was supposed to be a lob to Zach for a dunk. It ended up being a catch and layup. But, you know, Jay Triano and Doug are doing a great job, and Dipesh Mistry, another one of our assistant coach, of collabing and finding things that Zach did well in Chicago, some of those sets. And if that opening play wasn't going to Zach, if that wasn't available, it would have been a hit to Sabonis at the elbow, dribble handoff, and DeMar coming off of that into the paint. So the first option was available. They never got to option number 2 or 3, but I think you'll see Sacramento incorporate a lot of those things to get Zach going. And like, what is it, 5 games he's played with us now, 4 or 5? It's still a really small sample size. And I have no doubt that he'll get right back up to that, you know, 22 to 25 points per game, and the 3-point shooting will come again. And that is always a bigger adjustment than most people think. And especially the way that we played compared to the way that Chicago's a little bit more closer to Sacramento than Memphis was when we were talking about LaRavia, but it's still a pretty good adjustment. And Zach's a talented guy. He can go get his own too. We've seen that.
Mark, we're going to need Doug and Jay and Dip to go and make a game plan for how to get Keegan Murray into some of the actions that he was in last year or the year before that were productive and worked. I don't know if you know this. He hasn't scored 20 points in a game since
November 24th.
Yeah, the game right before Thanksgiving.
Yeah, I don't know what to make of that. I feel for Keegan because he's doing all the dirty work, and you know, there's a lot of firepower in that starting lineup, man. You know, when you look at there's some mouths to feed right there, right? I mean, Zach just comes in, he's a 24-point per game guy, and DeMar's 20, Sabonis is 20, Monk is 18, 17, and I don't know what the answer is there. I think that at some point maybe he needs a little bit of a mental reset, but I'd love to see him hunt shots. And, you know, I don't think it's a situation where the ball purposefully doesn't come his way.
Mhm.
But I think Keegan is always looking to play the right way, almost to a fault sometimes.
Yeah.
And I think there's a point where he could help himself out a little bit by hunting shots. And nobody's going to get mad at a guy who is locking up the other team's best perimeter wing player for taking an extra shot or two, right?
Right.
So I think that's a little bit of a psychological point where he's got to get to, and it might tip in his favor at some point. We hope that it does, right? Yeah. I mean, what do you guys think about that? I look at the number of every time I get a box score after a game, I look at the number of field goal attempts Keegan has. And if the only time I'm happy is when it's like anywhere between 12 and 15. I'd love it between 15 and 18 because I think he's that good a shooter. But, and with Malik handling a little bit more now, I'm wondering if some of those looks might get to Keegan somehow. And even Zach LaVine, because if you guys notice, like Zach does a lot of the primary ball handling duties a lot too. He'll bring it across a lot too. And maybe that makes Keegan a little bit more available for some actions. I'm not sure.
Yeah, this is a question we had, like, kind of going back to last year. Is that just kind of in his nature as a person to be like, hey, get me the ball. Like, I need to shoot it. I think you're right. And I think saying he tries to do the right thing almost to a fault, I think is kind of what it comes down to is he's a 24-year-old dude looking around and going, all right, that's DeMar DeRozan.
Yeah.
That's Malik Monk, who I've watched be the sixth man of the year twice now, or should have been. I've got Domantas Sabonis in there. And now we bring in Zach LaVine, who I've been watching since I was a kid. I'm going to go hang out over here. I'm going to play great defense. And I think that's going to kind of be my role.
Yeah, we got to get him to another Rod Wave concert or something to get those juices going again.
I agree.
It's a hard spot that he's in. And I'm not sure if the guys have contemplated any kind of starting lineup change. I don't know if that's in the air anywhere, but I'm not even sure that that's the answer right now. I'd love to see him hunt shots, especially when the ball comes to him on some of those second side actions, and it gets reversed and he makes the catch. I'd love to see him just snap drive to the basket and make something happen. And, it's about being able to get into a new flow with the way that we're playing now offensively, because it is, even since Doug took over, guys, it's looked a little bit different, right? We're running a lot more stack and elbow actions as opposed to some of the DHOs that we used to just flow into.
Yeah, I would agree completely. Mark, you're going to be there at All-Star Weekend, and I know Kyle has a question about the celebrity game.
I have 50.
He's got a ton. But before we get there, you're around the league. You fly from one spot to the next. I don't even know how many miles you put in the air every single year. But what is the general consensus with Domantas Sabonis? Because having him not be at the All-Star game, to me, is one of the most criminal things that I've seen in the league. And then to have injury replacements and Domas get left out of injury replacements as well. To me, it's such an embarrassment for the league that a guy that's averaging over 20, leading the league in rebounding for the third straight year. He's in the top 3 in 3-point percentage, averaging over 20 a game, and he can't get an All-Star nod.
Yeah, I don't know, man. I don't know. I've gone around a few laps on this thought, and I just come back to, his game's not sexy, right? So maybe that's it. The Kings are 3 games above 500, so you can't use that as an excuse, the winning component that some people like to point to sometimes. I think that overall his statistics are, for the most part, impactful. I don't think they're empty calories. And he's not the type of guy that gives you blazing headlines or quotes. That's not his fault. That's who he is, and that's cool. And sometimes that doesn't work in popularity contests, which is what it is. But I'm a little disappointed that the coaches didn't put more weight on his body of work, because they know. It blows my mind, man. It blows my mind because he should be playing down the street here in San Francisco on Saturday, and his game may not be Listen, he's not Anthony Edwards, right? Right?
Sure.
There's not a lot of sizzle on that steak for Domas, but the numbers are the numbers. And if we're measuring productivity and winning, then yeah, he should be there. He should be there. And he, like you said, he leads the league in rebounding, double doubles, plays the game hard. I don't know that there's a more relentless guy in the NBA, but maybe relentless doesn't sell. I don't know.
Mark Jones, television voice of the Kings. You're broadcasting the Celebrity All-Star Game tomorrow.
Yes.
I have a couple of questions just for you on that before we get you out of here real quick. One, how much preparation do you do for this broadcast?
Man, it's tricky. So, like, I'll get the list, and I'm pulling up the list right now of people in it. Okay, so the coaches are Barry Bonds and 2 Chainz. Yeah,
Of course.
great rapper, right? I sold 2 Chainz a second chain, by the way, just in case you guys are wondering.
He was
Jerry
low
Rice.
chain.
Yeah, it's one of my favorite rap rags of all time. He says, "I wear pajamas to Ruth's Chris." It's just an unbelievable line. I love 2 Chainz.
Okay.
I love that. Kai Sennett, Baron Davis, Alicia Gray, looking forward. So that's a real basketball player, right, for the WNBA. Tucker Halpern apparently played collegiate basketball. Did a little research on him. Masai Russell, gold medalist, track and field, 100-meter hurdles. She's an exceptional talent. I'm a huge track and field fan, so that one came a little bit easier. Matt Barnes is playing for Team Rice. Chris Brickley is an interesting one. I'm familiar with Chris a lot because he trains a lot of the NBA stars around the league. Jimmy Butler. He works out with a lot of the high-end guys. Who else? We've got Terrell Owens, a 2-time Celebrity Game MVP.
Good player.
Yeah. I'm curious to see what T.O. looks like because, guys, how old is he now? Like
48?
Got to be in his high 40s.
Yeah, something like that.
I think he might be older than
We
that.
have the technology to figure this
We
out.
do.
That was
I mean,
the 96 draft.
Yeah, I have a researcher preparing charts for me on this game. I mean, like, come on.
He's 51. Yeah,
He's 51. Yeah, like, what am I going to ask him? What is Pablo Schreiber's points per game average in the Celebrity League? I mean, yeah, Shabuzi. And Drewski's one of the participants too. Another Drewski, the influencer, the streamer. Yeah.
So how do you balance, and we've only got like a minute here, so but how do you balance the, like, hey, this is a fun Celebrity All-Star Game versus trying to, like, be a professional broadcaster?
Still trying to figure it out, man.
Okay, very good.
Still trying to figure it out. Sometimes you'll get stretches of good basketball.
Yeah.
And that's when you kind of lean into the hybrid good athletes like the NFL guys or WNBA players that might be playing, or you'll get an influencer or like Quavo, right? When he played in it, he's 2-time MVP. He plays a lot of basketball, so those guys will be pretty good. And if those guys get into a ball stopper hogging mode, then we'll get some good basketball. But if they get too deferential and start passing, then it goes down from there. But you just roll with it, man. We got a 4-point shot. We've got a penalty box deal where if you foul in the third quarter, it's a 5-on-4. I mean, we got the whole circus going in this game, man. I'm reading over the rules right now, so you never really know what you're going to get in this game, but it's fun anyway.
Well, not many people better to suit at a game like that to broadcast a game like that than you, Mark. Appreciate your time, man, and enjoy the heck out of this weekend. All right.
Thanks.
You got it. Thanks, guys.
Thanks, Mark. It's Mark Jones, television voice of the Sacramento Kings. We got to step aside. We'll take a look at keys to victory for the Kings tonight in New Orleans against the Pelicans. He's James Ham. I'm Kyle Madsen. We're the Insider, sponsored by Jiffy Lube here on ESPN 1320. It's Sacramento Sports Leader. Shout out to Mark Jones.
Yeah. Mark's awesome.
I meant to ask him about Keon.
Yeah, we got.
Mark, did you feel like you were looking in a mirror last night when you heard butter during Keon's 3-point barrage? Ridiculous. Butter. Who's man? It's crazy.
Yeah.
That's a me thing. It's a me thing. Don't worry about it.
Yeah. I don't know what to say.
No, you don't have to say anything. We're moving on.
Moving on. Nothing to see here.
Do you think trading Debo in the 11th first-round pick to Cleveland for Myles Garrett would be okay? No.
You would take that deal.
No, I would. The 11th and Debo for Myles Garrett, yeah. Depends on what you're paying Myles Garrett, though.
Oh, you have to. Is he?
Yeah, he's got no guaranteed money left. 2 years left on his deal.
Oof. Does that mean that they're not going to have a bunch of dead money, or will they?
They'll have some. I guess he's down to restructure the deal. I didn't see it exactly. Did someone just wave at us? Hello?
No, the lights went on and off.
Oh, that's weird. Oh, probably because everyone's been in there.
Everyone's been in the meeting over here that we're not part of. John Poles is starting a petition.
Yeah, all this. The thing I was saying before Mark got on was all signs point to Debo leaving. And for some reason, Tim Kawakami yesterday, who I love very much, Tim Kawakami yesterday tweets like, talk to some people and the 49ers are preparing for Debo to not be back. It's like, yeah, that's what I gathered the whole time.
Okay.
Coming off the worst year of his career, he's going into the final year of his deal. The 49ers aren't going to pay him. And so he's like, yeah, hey, send me where someone will pay me. And they're going to cut him if they can't trade him.
Okay.
Because that makes financial sense and roster sense. Yeah, maybe if Max Crosby gets traded. But again, Max Crosby is going to fetch multiple first-round picks probably and want a new deal.
Everybody's going to get paid. That's the way it goes.
Okay, here we go. He's James Ham. I'm Kyle Madsen. The Sacramento Kings taking on the New Orleans Pelicans once again tonight. And before we get into keys to victory, actually, you know what? No, we'll do keys to victory first, and then I'll get into my prize picks.
3 games out of 4, right?
My underdog picks for tonight. I'm sorry, what?
This is the third time they've played the Pelicans out of 4.
Yeah.
It's just wild. Just like playing the same team.
Yeah.
Just rinse and repeat.
Well, hey, you'll take it. When the Pelicans look like this, you'll take it, man.
Yeah.
For sure. They are not that good of a basketball team. Got some good players. Just not a great team. Zion Williamson not playing tonight, which is a sigh of relief for the Kings.
It is.
They just, and I, like I said, I say they don't have anybody who can slow him down. Nobody really does.
Well,
Zion slows Zion down.
You're going to come out of that game with a lot less ice bags. Just straight up. Like, Zion batters you. That's who he is as a player. He likes to drop his shoulder and get to the rack, get to the left side of the rim every single time. And he's a powerful, powerful athlete that just, like, when you're done playing him, your chest hurts.
Yep.
And I think that it's good to go into the All-Star break without a couple of bruises.
All right, let's get to keys to victory. I tried to. I'm hoping they're a little bit different than yesterday's. Especially since Zion isn't playing, and he was directly one of my keys. So key number 1, James Ham for a Sacramento Kings victory tonight.
Stop turning the ball over.
Well,
keep it simple, stupid. That's what was on the board. KISS. Stop getting crazy with the handles. The second the Kings stopped turning the ball over last night, they just pulled away. Like, it's nearly impossible to win a game when you turn the ball over 8 times in a quarter. And so if they can just do that one functional piece, they should win this game handily. Yep.
Don't give them free possessions, man.
Yep.
That is, it seems easy. And again, there's going to be some. There's going to be whatever they're averaging turnover wise now should come down as just they get more familiar with each other. They get some standard sets put in, some standard offensive sets put in. Like at some point, those turnovers will come down. But also just you mentioned the Malik Monk pass earlier that went through Keon Ellis's legs. Like you just throw a better pass, man.
Yeah.
That's just sometimes it just comes down to that.
Yeah. Like don't run into a double team and get the ball stripped.
Yeah. And like I said, if it's Zach LaVine in the corner and he starts to cut, but he wants to go back to the corner and you throw the bounce pass waiting for the cut and it goes out of bounds because you had a little miscommunication on where he was going to go. Okay, that happens. But the other ones, the unforced ones, nah, that can't go down.
Yep.
My first key, especially with Zion out, whatever the plan was for CJ McCollum last night, do it again.
Mm-hmm.
Throw different looks at him. Make sure that when he drives, there's multiple bodies on him. Run him off the 3-point line. Make sure you're contesting his threes. Keon Ellis and Keegan Murray should be chasing him around all night.
Yeah, you got to shut him down. And there's only real two faucets on this team if Zion's not playing, and it's CJ and then it's Trey Murphy.
Facts.
Like if you can slow those guys down. Again, Alvarado had a really nice shooting night last night, but if you go back to what he did on Saturday where he didn't hit any of his 3-point shots, like that, he's just not a consistent scorer. He can hurt you, but like outside of CJ and Murphy, there isn't a lot of like meat on the bones there with that Pelicans team.
Yep. Number 2.
Continue to build chemistry.
Yeah.
Like if there's no Zion and this game gets out of control pretty quickly and the Kings are rolling, work on your play sets. You don't have a lot of time to spend together. And we keep talking about like these mystical practices. There might be like 1 or 2 practices during All-Star weekend, All-Star break, that these guys actually get on the court and get to like see quality time together. This is a game where you can use as a scrimmage if it gets out of hand quickly. And that's what I would like to see them continue to get to the 28 to the 30 to the 32 assist mark and see if they can try to find some continuity with this group.
I'm changing my second one.
Oh.
Number 2. I need Domantas Sabonis to stay out of foul trouble.
Oh.
You hit the nail on the head earlier. It just takes him out of his game entirely.
Yeah.
And now your rotations are messed up, and you have a better option in Jonas Valanciunas to play the backup 5. So that's okay. It's not like, oh my God, you can't win. But their offensive flow, Domantas Sabonis being out of the game or being mentally taken out of the game, isn't going to help what ails them offensively.
Yep.
So you Domas just try and stay out of foul trouble, man. Especially with no Zion.
Well, and this is a team that starts a rookie and then comes off the bench with another rookie at the center position.
Yep.
Domas should do what he did on Saturday, where he dominated this team with like 27 points.
What I was waiting on an underdog last night, and it didn't happen.
Yeah. It very much is a game where he should be the focal point for the Kings, and he should dominate this game.
Yep. 100%. Number 3.
By hook or by crook, just find a way to win.
That is, man, every once in a while you do a thing where I'm like, oh yeah, you're way older than me.
Yeah.
And that was one.
Yeah. It doesn't matter. Yeah,
not
I get
a phrase I've ever heard before.
Yeah, it doesn't matter. Like whatever the way you got to beat this team, it doesn't matter in this game tonight.
Yeah.
Just go out there. There's such a big difference between going into the All-Star break with a 4-game win streak and 3 games over 500 and going in 1 game over 500 and being tied or potentially tied with the Golden State Warriors for like the 9-10. Like that's not where you want to be. You need to be moving up the ranks here, and the potential to win this game and to move above Dallas and be the 7. And that's what they would be, right? In the Western Conference, maybe the 8.
If the Kings win and Dallas loses,
yeah,
it'd be the 8.
Yeah, they'd be the 8. That's a big deal. And it might not seem like it is now, but there's only like 28 games left after tonight, and it's a sprint to the finish line, and every game matters, especially against 12-win teams.
Yep. I'm sorry, I'm deep in the by hook or by crook Wikipedia page to try and find out the origins.
Okay.
Some believe it goes back to Oliver Cromwell.
Okay.
Trying to take Waterford by hook, which is on the Wexford side of the Waterford estuary, or by crook, a village on the Waterford side.
There it is.
You're welcome, everyone. Number 3. Zach LaVine getting to the free throw line last night was a big reason that the Kings were able to keep the Pelicans at arm's length in the fourth quarter. He went 11 for 11 from the free throw line in the game, 8 for 8 in the fourth quarter. If he's not going to hit threes and he's going to miss a layup, which he did last night, just get to the free throw line.
Yep.
Seeing the ball go in there, that can help. So if that's where he's going to have to be effective offensively right now, fine.
I totally agree, especially against young big centers for the Pelicans. Like, this is not a great defensive team, and he should be able to get to the basket at will and really sort of put a stamp on a game. I want to see it like in the flow of the offense. So I want to see Domas hit him on a back cut. I want to see them to start building this weird chemistry that they have right now. Start figuring it out, how you guys are going to play in the second half of the season. And like what you said, like, get to the line. Like this team like lived for a couple of years here on De'Aaron Fox getting to the free throw line and slowing the game down.
Yep. That's
how you control the pace of a game. You can run, and then use the free throw line as a way to take a break, as opposed to, timeouts the whole time. I think it's a big deal that he starts getting to the line and starts slowing the game down for him.
Yep. Would love to see it. If the Kings do those things, they should cruise to a victory tonight and make it 4 in a row heading into the All-Star break. I have an underdog lineup tonight featuring a Sacramento King.
Let's hear it.
Usually I do all Kings game, but this one, underdog on the Underdog app shows you like celebrity lineups.
Oh.
And I'm rocking with golfer Bryson DeChambeau because I really like the lineup that he put out.
Okay.
So that's what I'm rocking with. With Underdog Daily Fantasy, their pick'em app or their pick'em game is super easy. You pick 2 or more players, you pick higher or lower on their stats, points, assists, rebounds. They got it by quarter, they got it by half, they got it in the first 5 minutes of a game. There are so many stats to choose from. And I have so much fun with it. You can create your entries with basketball, you can create them with once baseball season rolls around, you can put baseball and basketball together, you can do hockey. They have so many sports to choose from. A college basketball, of course, tournament coming up, which you can hear right here on ESPN 1320. Here's Bryson DeChambeau's lineup that I'm rocking with tonight. Andrew Wiggins, higher than 14.5 points against the Dallas Mavericks. Chet Holmgren, higher than 5.5 rebounds against the Minnesota Timberwolves. I'm going Domantas Sabonis, higher than 14.5 points. That number feels very low to me.
Yeah.
But he did just have 16 last night, but we just talked about it. I think he's going to blow that number out of the water tonight. And then Klay Thompson, higher than 2.5 made threes. That is against the Miami Heat. That is Bryson DeChambeau's lineup that I'm rocking with on Underdog. I would love for you to play along. So download the Underdog app now and sign up using promo code KyleM to unlock a special offer of up to $1,000 in bonus cash when you make your first deposit. Join in on the fun when you sign up with promo code KyleM. Claim your special offer today and get up to $1,000 in bonus cash instantly upon first deposit. Must be 18 plus and present in a state where Underdog Fantasy operates. Terms apply. Void in Colorado. Concerned with your play? Call 1-800-GAMBLER or visit www.ncpgambling.org. In Arizona, call 1-800-NEXT-STEP or text NEXT-STEP to 53342. In New York, call the 24/7 Hope line at 1-8778-HOPE-NY or text HOPE-NY. Shout out to Underdog. I'm feeling good about that one. Feeling good about Braxton's line. Kings win tonight?
Yes.
Yeah, I think so too.
By a lot.
Yeah, this is I always hesitate to pick him to win by a lot. I think I had him to win by like 10 last night, 7 or 10. Tonight, I think they roll. Give me like 128, 101.
Yeah, I think you're probably 128, 101. Yeah, something like that.
Right. That's the official. It's the official pick of the Insiders. He's James Ham. I'm Kyle Madsen. We are back here on ESPN 1320 tomorrow at 10 a.m. Until then, drink water and be nice to people.